If you were to pick a player that would help you win a championship, who would you pick? I would pick Giannis. I hope he would get to play with Giannis at some point. Those two would be a very, very nice combo. I mean, I would say just the dominance, somebody that's, gonna get to the rim. He's a good playmaker, a good defender, disruptive, and the way he plays complements the way I play. I would bring something to the table that complements what he does and vice versa. Seamless.
Seamless. That was Dame. He said that last December, and here we are. Vinny Goodwill, Dame Lillard, a member of the Milwaukee Bucks. So you got Dame, you got Giannis, you got Middleton, and Vegas says that's good enough. The championship odds, Vegas thinks that the Milwaukee Bucks are your favorites. Dame, I look at Dame and Vinny, I say we're missing something. It can't be this easy, can it? They just can't be the favorites. Maybe we're being too emotional and too impulsive by anointing Milwaukee. What say you?
I mean, I picked the Bucks last year before the playoffs started to win the NBA Finals. So that was before they acquired Damian Lillard. I mean, this is a franchise that's had the most wins over the NBA over the past 4 seasons. They're already championship made. So it's not like we're talking about a team that hasn't done it. Yeah, they're a little bit older, and I think that's going to be a concern when you have Brook Lopez, who's older, Giannis, who's trending in that direction. Now he's not a baby anymore. Damian Lillard is in his early 30s. So, yeah, you have concerns, and losing Jrue Holiday is no small feat. I don't think people should underestimate the loss that you have with a guy like that, who's the best defensive guard in the game, who authored some of the biggest plays this franchise has seen. And I'm very curious about the fit between Giannis and Damian Lillard in the first 44 minutes of the game, where Damian Lillard has to play off of Giannis. And in the last 5 minutes, I'm not worried about that at all. Like, I'm not worried about Damian Lillard taking shots from the logo. I think the Bucks have figured out, or will figure out, their late game offense, which they've struggled in. And I think they'll figure out some things defensively to kind of cover up Dame, because he's not the best guy on the perimeter. But to say that they're far and away better than everybody else, I wouldn't say that. But I think, like everything else we've thought before now, Mike, they're maybe one of 3 teams that I would say has a realistic chance of walking into the season saying that we should win the championship.
Yeah, Vinny, that was going to be, I think you nailed it, because I was going to say, I think they should definitely be considered one of the title favorites, but I think not what's missing, because you said it, but is being overlooked a little bit, is how much their defense will suffer, if at all, right? So, like, the offense is going to get better, but the defense will take a hit. And that probably won't matter so much for the regular season, but in the postseason, when teams start to game plan, that could be where you see it become an issue. Like, do you have any concerns? Because we've seen in the past, like when Dame, and it's different, right? He has Giannis now, I understand, Brook is there. Like, he has better people behind him. But in the past, like if you think back to that series with Portland when they played, who was it? The Pelicans, right? And they just kept trapping him that entire series. And like Dame was like obsolete. There was nothing he could do. Do you have any concerns over what could happen on defense?
I think you figure those things over the course of 82 games. I think if this were a trade deadline move and you have less time to develop cohesion, less time to game plan, less time to figure out how teams are going to come at you, I'd be 100% with you, but they'll have a complete training camp preseason. They'll have 6 full months to figure that out. My concern, if there is a real concern, is Damian Lillard played 58 games last year. I know a lot of those games were on the back end where they were sitting him because they wanted to get in the Big Vic sweepstakes. Chris Middleton played 33 games, knee injury on the front end, and coming into the season, he was coming off that wrist injury. Giannis has averaged around 65 games the last 2 seasons. So basically you're saying your top 3 players, maybe they'll play 65 games. And we're not talking about guys that, want to rest and everything, because I don't think there is a concern in that direction. But when you have all these guys coming in together and you're having to learn each other, you need to get as much sweat equity in the regular season as possible to get yourself ready for the playoffs, to get yourself ready for whatever that postseason grind is going to be. Yeah, there's a concern defensively because we've seen situations where Damian Lillard has struggled, but he's never been on a good defensive team. I think he's played on 2 top 10 defenses in terms of defensive proficiency his entire career in Portland. But now you're walking into a situation where the expectation is going to be there for you to play defense and for you to not just conserve your energy for one end of the floor because you have to carry everything. That's going to be the adjustment. We've seen Dame struggle in the Olympics on defense where he was replaced, I believe, by Jrue Holiday. And then that's the guy that he's traded for. It's just funny how these things kind of go in circles.
And it's funny how you have a knack for leading us into our next topic, because I was just about to ask you about Jrue Holiday and the best fit for him. Am I crazy, or is he a perfect fit for the Boston Celtics? Or am I crazy? Is he the perfect fit for the Miami Heat? Am I crazy? Is he the perfect fit? I mean, there's so many teams. There's so many teams that could look at Holiday and say, oh, I like his size. I like that he can post on offense. He's a good shooter. He's a good ball handler. He's a defender. All the things that Milwaukee saw and benefited from during the championship season. Where does Jrue Holiday go next? And that team that gets him might strengthen its championship odds a little bit when they pick him up.
Jrue Holiday is the low-maintenance person that you want to date. They ain't going to bother you, ain't going to badger you, but when you go out with them, you're going to have a good old time, right? That's him. Low maintenance, but it's plays with a lot of energy. Like you said, he can fit in a little bit of everywhere. I think he fits in perfectly with the Miami Heat, not just because they have a hole at the position where clearly they need a high-level perimeter player to go alongside with Jimmy Butler and Bam, but just because, I don't know how great he would fit with the Boston Celtics, considering I don't see them having the assets, considering they just went in and got Kristaps Porzingis. They traded Marcus Smart. They're trying to figure out something with Malcolm Brogdon. I'm not sure if they have the oxygen there to go get Jrue Holiday, and consider the fact that he can opt out of his contract at the end of this season and presumably sign for a longer deal. So you don't want to sign him for a rental. You got to be able to absorb him and say, hey, you're someone that we're going to keep in for the foreseeable future. But you're right as far as him fitting in everywhere. If I'm the Chicago Bulls and I'm missing Lonzo Ball for the entire season, I make a run at him. If I'm any contender that does not have a high level, a top 3, top 4 point guard in the NBA, I am making the calls. I'm going to see Portland. Hey, what do you want? Because we can't really assess what Portland got out of this trade. Everybody wants to throw the flowers at Joe Cronin and say, yeah, you didn't bow down and send them to Miami. Yeah, you just sent them to the team with the best record in the league last year. Slow your roll. But until we figure out exactly what he's gotten in return for Jrue Holiday, we won't know how to assess this massive trade in the long term, because passing up what he passed up in Miami, the jury is still out on that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't think that Tyler Hero is going to yield you better assets than a Jrue Holiday, but I could be wrong about that. So for me, it's not really about like bowing down. Like I'm giving the Blazers credit because I think like you made a business decision that got you better assets. I feel like if you're the Miami Heat though, you have to go all in, because you put all your hopes into getting Dame and you didn't, and you've lost some pieces, right? Like, I mean, you've gotten weaker in the Eastern Conference. Now, I would say arguably the only teams that got better are the Bucks and the Celtics, because the Sixers are in disarray. But if you're trying to get back to the finals, if you're trying to be in that upper echelon, I don't even think Jrue does it for you, but he's a pretty good consolation prize. That fan base is pretty upset right now. They're losing some faith in Pat Riley. So I think you have to go all in on trying to get Jrue, because you need him. You actually need to improve your team.
Far be it for me to criticize Pat Riley, considering he's going to the finals 2 times in the last 4 years, and was a Jimmy Butler missed 3-pointer from going to 3 finals in the last 4 years. And people are saying they're disappointed in him. Like, hey, he is living on a yacht at 77 years old. He don't give a damn what anybody is saying right now. But to your point, with Jimmy Butler turning, I think 33 or 34, and Bam being, still being relatively young, but he's not going to necessarily carry your franchise. You have to go all in. This is today's NBA. If you think of the Bucks and the Phoenix Suns, they were in the finals 2 years ago Only Devin Booker remains from that Phoenix Suns team. This Milwaukee Bucks team looks drastically different from a team that won a championship, and it wasn't that long ago. So when you think about teams that are going for it, if you're the Lakers, if you're the Clippers, whomever you are, the NBA is a 24-month cycle. You cannot rebuild longer than 2 years. You can probably not contend longer than 2 years without making significant changes to your personnel. You can't toe the line. You can't say, hey, we're going to hoard all our draft picks and we're not going to spend to the luxury tax line. If everybody else is going all in, you got to go all in too.
Can I ask you a question?
I'll just say this.
Oh.
Yeah, go ahead.
You want to ask me a question about
go ahead.
Are you going to ask me about what Magic said?
No, because we can talk about that offline. But that's not for today. But what I want to ask is, if there is a team that may potentially overreact to this trade and now do something, who do you think it might be?
That's a great question.
I don't see anyone necessarily overreacting. I don't see the Knicks having the gumption to make a serious move. I don't think the Philadelphia 76ers ever really want to go all in because they've got the James Harden problem. And I don't see the Boston Celtics really doing anything out of character. That's not usually in Brad Stevens' MO. You've either got those teams really at the top, then you've got Miami that they're trying to figure out, are they the team that went to the finals or are they the team that was in the play-in? Toronto was not a team that traditionally leverages everything. You've heard their name in the Dame stuff, but I don't know if I ever, because Masai Ujiri always seems to ask for a lot without giving up a lot. So I'm not sure, Nat, if there's a team that's willing to just play into this. I'm not saying that they're going to concede. In the West, I don't know if anybody panics because, people don't usually cross-conference panic. And people respect the Denver Nuggets enough. I don't know if they'll be feared, but they respect them enough. I think everybody's going to play out the first few weeks to the month of the season, see what happens when Ja Morant gets back, see what Oklahoma City looks like, see what happens when that inevitable Chris Paul, time to go to the bench conversation happens in the Bay Area. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot of questions that all these teams have internally that they have to answer before they can go outside their building and look for personnel moves.
Well, I just have one more thing for you before we let you go, Vinny. Look, your basketball knowledge, just fantastic as usual. I got no problem with that. Look at your background. The shoes up there look great. You got the waves rolling like the Atlantic and Pacific combined. I mean, everything is just nice and fresh. Everything looks great.
I feel something coming.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Something coming. I feel some kind of way because I see the Anita Baker. Like, but let's focus on Vinny's background. He got the Anita Baker album back there. I see that. I like that. And then you got that why you still got that damn 42-16 sign up there? And I know what it means. I know a lot of people don't know what it means. I know.
What does it mean?
I know.
What does it mean, Michael?
I know.
What does it mean?
I know what it means. It means Michigan, fooled around and won a game against Ohio State. Finally, once in a generation, Michigan football team. Okay, twice.
You mean two?
Twice. Yeah, twice. We got something for y'all this year.
Look, I'm sorry. Ryan Day is too busy arguing with Lou Holtz than worrying about what's going to happen to him at the end of November. Y'all better focus on the task at hand.
Yeah.
Hey, the game is in Ann Arbor this year. Don't get your feelings hurt 3 years in a row.
Oh,
y'all gonna have some fun.
Hey, Ann Arbor's great. Oh, I love Ann Arbor. As a matter of fact, I might come through. Ann Arbor. It's great. It's a great community. Shout out Ann Arbor. We'll see you in November. And I hope maybe you change your signage in November. I look forward to it.
I'll put the new score.
Okay, okay, that's a bet. Hey, thank you for watching Brother from Another. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, go ahead and do that now. Don't forget you can catch us 3 to 4 weekdays on PeacockTV.com and on Sirius XM Channel 85.